everyone! Welcome back to the dannphan chan. So as I've been reading a lot of DC YA graphic novels, I got the idea of maybe we should make a tier list of the different DC YA graphic novels that I've read and which ones are the worst. It's a competition to last place, which one will prevail. Now keep in mind, I've not read every DC YA graphic novel yet. I will at some point, to which then I will update this list, but for now, let's just go over the ones that I have done read-throughs of. Now, unlike the category for most tier list, where it's S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, we're going to reverse this because we are ranking them based on how bad they are on a scale, so the worst will be at the top. And our actual categories here are actually good, which, you know, will probably stay empty for the most part. Mildly annoying. These are some that I probably wouldn't mind if teenagers read, despite them being bad. They're bad to me, but they might not be bad for teenagers, so to speak. And then there's So Bad It's Funny, which you know is a category. It is definitely its own category. It deserves its own spot. There are a lot of DC YA graphic novels out there that are meant to be read only ironically, only because you will laugh so much while reading it, and not actually because it's good. However, as we go further up the bad meter, there's some that are just bad, that are just awful, can't even be laughed at. And of course, the worst of the worst is so bad it'll increase the suicide rate. So basically, 13 reasons why levels of bad. This category is for the comics that actually did make me feel depressed after reading them. But without further ado, let's get into the comics, shall we? First up is, of course, the classic Gotham High. This is your typical, awful, trashy teen stuff, which just barely connects to actual DC property. It has really nothing to do with being a superhero. It's really just some trashy love triangle that doesn't even conclude itself. She doesn't choose either guy. So it's kind of a pointless read. But due to how cringy and how silly the art is, most may place it at the So Bad It's Funny tier. And you know, I'll be honest with you guys, if it wasn't vaguely related to Batman, this would probably be at the just bad portion of the list. But given that people have found a lot of enjoyment relating it to Batman and reading this with the knowledge that Batman is like some Asian cuck, that's what really pushes it to the So Bad It's Funny category. So I do think that this can be enjoyed ironically. Next we have Harley Quinn Breaking Glass. This is a more recent read that I did. And oh my gosh, it was so painful. It hurt. It hurt reading this. It was very painful to get through. Obviously, it does a terrible job at showing any good role models because everyone is just a douche in a different way. But the thing about this is it's not even funny. It's not even funny. It's just bad. So probably would put it in the just bad category. The amount of annoying dialogue alone might push it to some kids committing suicide, but I think most people will be able to live through it. So we'll put that in the just bad. Would not recommend reading, don't touch it. Now there's I Am Not Starfire. This is one of my most popular read-throughs, and I will say, I actually think that it gets a little more flack than it maybe deserves. It may be a story that involves a self-insert character. It may be super cringy and makes no sense whatsoever. It may retcon Starfire's character to also make no sense whatsoever. But I don't think that it belongs in either of these top categories. I think that you can get through it and get a good laugh out of it, honestly. So I'll probably be placing this one in the So Bad It's Funny category. I might even be as generous to have placed it in the mildly annoying category if it wasn't for the plot making so little sense and well, there's a lot of laughing fits that I've had while reading it, so it's kind of hard to not put in the so bad it's funny. I mean, you've seen me read this book. At the end where she, like, creates her own superhero costume. Oof. Nubia, real one. Holy shit. Yes, you probably know if you've watched me read this, that it did actually give me quite a bit of depression. This is one of those books that basically just appeases a teenage mindset of being very negative and thinking that the world is out to get you, while also, of course, appeasing the white guy bad trope. Some people might get a laugh out of this one, but for me, it just made me want to commit suicide. So I'm gonna put it in the so bad and it'll increase the suicide rate. I realized that it might have been the intention of the writer to make white people feel bad about themselves, but maybe you shouldn't write books that make people want to commit suicide in the first place. Just my opinion. Poison Ivy Thorns, another recent read. I do gotta say, this was maybe not as painful as Harley Quinn was to get through, but this is a really hard one to categorize, especially if you're a parent watching this, thinking about which one of these DCYA graphic novels you should get your kid or friend or whatever. Don't buy this. I will say that. I will say don't buy it. I mean, all of these books that I've listed off do a terrible job at giving kids role models, right? Or teenagers, which is where they're directed at. But some of them do go as far as to glorify murdering your father. And this is one of them. The main character, Poison Ivy, is in fact a murderer in this story. And it's treated as though it's a good thing, which is not exactly the way I would go about creating a DCYA. I honestly don't know how they got away with this one. The only thing that I can think is that they tried to make it sound like she wasn't supposed to be glorified in this book, but she definitely was. So yeah, not recommended for your children, but where does it fall on this scale? I did have quite a few laughing fits when it came to Poison Ivy Thorns. So I might say so bad it's funny. I might say that. I don't know if I could rate it as bad to make kids commit suicide, but they might want to murder their father after reading it. I'll say that much. But for now, we'll put it in the so bad it's funny, because I did have quite a few laughing fits. And once again, if you're reading them with irony in mind, you're reading it with the intention of laughing at something because it's bad, then you can enjoy it in a very different way. But if you're reading something expecting it to be good, then you'll be very, very disappointed. Next, we have Black Canary Ignite. This one surprised me a bit because I actually didn't think it was that bad. It was very generic. It was very, very generic. And there's definitely a few political things that they mention here and there. But yeah, compared to all the other DCYA graphic novels, this was extremely tame. There are a lot of things about it that I actually enjoyed, which is crazy. Overall, I still think it's bad though. I still think that it could have been better. There's a lot of opportunities wasted in this one, but for the most part, it's just a generic story about a girl finding out her mom is a superhero and understanding that that means she will probably be a superhero just like her mom. And, her coming to terms with her superpowers and learning how to use them and use them for good. And in the end, she has to save, her parents and whatever. So this one, I wouldn't put it up here, of course. I don't think that it's very funny either. It's more so cutesy. I would probably put it at the mildly annoying. If you were looking for the least offensive DCYA graphic novel to give to your child or someone you knew, probably would want to give them Black Canary Ignite, because it is very, very tame, especially when compared to all the other ones. Next on the list, you brought me the ocean. her butt. You know where this is going. It is a hilarious, ironic read. You know, once again, don't read it if you're seriously looking for something good, but if you are not, oh yeah, read this. It's so funny. The writing mixed with the art, and it just comes together into this glorious mess of bad. Once again, teen trashiness and, you know, frustrating characters, but they're entertaining. And I think that's what puts it on the so bad it's funny scale for me. So here's what we have. This is our DC YA graphic novel list so far. We're going to be reading more soon, so this list will keep on building as we go through them. But yeah, how do you feel about the placements of where I'm putting things so far? Do you agree with this list? And which would you like to see me read next? Be sure to comment down below, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey, you! Tired of reading bad comics? But there are no good comics. No, you're wrong! There's burningstarcomics.net. Original comics made by me and my friends. Stop reading bad comics and start getting to the indies, nerd. Wow! burningstarcomics.net. Check the link in the description.
Program restart.